All right, guys. How is it going? Got another weekly video here for the markets. I'm gonna start by going over the S&P 500, just like the other week. Last time I made a video, we talked about the support and resistance and how the market was forming potentially to go higher with some extensions. So what we had, uh, we marked this area as resistance, that red line. We had this green line signaling possible support for the future because it was resistance, broke above it, closed above it, becomes support. And then we also had that 50% extension level right by that support level. So zooming in here, um, at first this did do pretty well. We got a few days here where we trended upwards, went from 2816 to almost 2900. It was a good few days, and then what happened was we ran into the opposing high to low, and so piercing this extension 61.8, I'm going to get rid of that drawing, and you can see that we also have broken below and so far have closed below as well. So this will more than likely become resistance in the future if we continue to fall at this level, and then that target's 27.61 and our low of the day was 66.25, so we got very close to that target. Didn't hit it yet though, so we'll see what happens there. And then overall we still have the bigger picture support from the weekly chart, just a low to high, and that 50 was 23.75 and we touched that and started to move higher. We tested our previous high, and that was a resistance that we saw. So more than likely we'll just pull back a bit and then head higher again. But with the trade talks and everything else going on, who knows? But that's kind of my analysis for the S&P 500. And so if we do hit this target, the next move would be taking that next high to low and seeing where that 50 is and potentially doing a short there. And then along with that, this green line may become resistance. And so we can make that red for the future. And sometimes a really good trade setup would be having that 50% lining up with the red resistance level. So that is that for the S&P 500 that I have to talk about. Next up is oil. So with oil, last time I made a video, we were talking about the extensions going higher, and we were also talking about, just in general, we had the extension and the high to low, and what was happening for maybe a week or two, or close to 2 weeks, I think a week and a little bit more, we were just consolidating. So in between both 50% levels. So I'm even going to get rid of these 38s because they're not even important right now with what was going on here. It was just a battle of the 50s. We saw, make this a little bit longer. So you can see that in between the 50 and the 50, for the high to low 50 and the extension 50, we were just going back and forth, consolidating, not really making a move. So we knew that once we broke out of this area, we would move a lot lower or a lot higher. And that's what happened, I believe it was last week, where we just kind of ripped lower this day on the 23rd, just extremely dropped. And we took out this prior low, which was a big key in that move, and we hit that target. So now what's possible is looking at that next high to low. Usually that's what would happen here. Today was interesting as we opened at 59.07 and we got to a low of 56.88. But we're about to close right by our open here. And that's interesting that we got that low and came back up. So some type of support was there, and it might lead us into this next high to low, which would be 60.42 currently, and then that target would be 55.20. But interesting to see how we talked about the consolidation happening between the 50% of the high to low and the extension higher, and then we just ripped lower, and that was that. Sometimes when we rip one direction from consolidating, that would become support or resistance, and here we could possibly see resistance because we were consolidating for so long in this area. So this in general may be resistance if it were to come back up to this area. And we'll make that red to make it more clear. We'll get rid of the extension, as that doesn't really matter too much now. We can also get rid of that, and this is what we have up. So we'll see what happens there. And bigger picture, just kind of back and forth here with the oil market, but we'll see what happens there in the next few days or few weeks and how everything reacts. And then last but not least is gold. We talked about this last time. Mix between the uptrend to the downtrend. I think we're going to keep going lower in gold, even though we keep going lower, pulling back up. I think we'll go lower. We had, right now I have this high to low drawn. We did have this high to low, but we never quite hit the target. That's why I extended that drawing lower. But we'll see if we can get to the target, and we'll see if we push lower then from that area, because we have not touched this 50 yet. So we'll see what happens there. But overall, I do think gold will drop, and we'll see what happens. But that is it for my analysis on the S&P 500, oil, and gold. If you have any questions, let me know, and trade safe.